Welcome back to another how-to video brought to you by Ride BMX and ODI Grips. I'm Demarcus and I'm going to teach you guys how to do a backflip. Nah, just kidding. I'm teaching you guys how to do a few grinds in multiple ways that can help you kind of progress at them and maybe take it to another level. If we're talking about only ledge, so feeble to me is the easiest, then comes a Smith, then comes a double peg, then comes the ice pick, then toothpick hanger. I personally think feebles are easier. With the double peg, it feels a little unnatural because you're not on the tires at all. When you're learning it, it feels a little awkward because you're so used to rolling on the wheels. And in my head, it's like when I learned how to do a double peg, I felt like I couldn't hold it up because you feel like it's pushing you off because you haven't learned how to control it, or you're not used to the feel of it being on the pegs. Having the tire on top of the ledge, you have a little bit more control. It still kind of feels like you're rolling on the tires and one of your pegs is still on. So it kind of gives you like the feel of that, or a little bit more control because you can like steer and maneuver. To me, I felt like I had a little bit more control with feebles. We did like the how to bunny hop. All that plays a real big role with these grinds. Perfecting the bunny hop in a sense of where you feel like you're comfortable and you have a little more control with that before you start really trying tricks. Learning how to bunny hop kind of give you that bike control to the realm of where you feel like what trick is easier for you to try. Don't even start with a ledge, start with a curb. The curb is a real good example of like that body position. You pick the front tire up, put it on the curb, and you slide next to the curb, imitating a feeble grind. So it kind of gives your body that like positioning to see slightly what it feels like to feeble. If you're scared to like hop onto a ledge or on a rail, whatever it may be, just if you can find a ledge that you can just ride onto, and you can ride onto with your front tire and let your peg drop off onto the ledge. Same thing with going up. You can find it like a loading dock, or if there's an obstacle at a skate park that you can just ride off or ride up and kind of like let your peg hang onto the ledge and front tire being on top. Feebles is a little more tricky because your tire is on top of the ledge, and if your tire is too far on top of the ledge, your peg isn't going to get on. It's going to more so go into like you're running into the ledge, or you could miss the back peg and loop out, whatever it may be. It's kind of tricky because your focus is trying to get the back peg on, and most of the time we lose the idea of like having control of the front wheel. So we're trying to make sure the back peg get on. We push too hard on top of the ledge, which caused the back peg to slip off. But if you have someone around, or if you're watching this video, the main focus is like making sure that the front wheel is in the position. And you can do this off your bike. You can pick your bike up and put your bike on the ledge, and you can keep turning it and put your front wheel on as far as you can put it to see where the back peg will actually not touch at all. Or if you hit the ledge at a certain way, it'll push the peg off. Then you learn like, okay, well, if I hop on the ledge with my bike at this angle, it can be kind of off, but the peg will stay on. So you learn how to like fluctuate around that body position or that bike position. Learning how to feeble on the ledge, you have a little bit more room for error, and which isn't error whenever you're doing it on the ledge. It's just like more so like you have more room for your tire to move around. So I kind of try to keep it super close to the edge, whether it's coping or if it's just a ledge. I want to keep it slightly past like the edge of the ledge so I can kind of have more peg on the ledge. So if your front tire is too far on the ledge, you only have a piece of the peg on the ledge. So closer the front tire is to the edge, the more peg you have on the ledge. That was almost like a tongue twister. My approach was, when I started trying to double peg a ledge, was that I'm going from an angle that I can turn like kind of like 90 into it to grind. And as I got older, I started to like kind of get more parallel with the ledge, because I understood that it wasn't about how I go into the ledge, it's more so about how I can pull over onto the ledge and kind of like keep that momentum going forward. So for me, I approach it kind of like more next to it, same thing for a rail, but like with the ledge, I approach next to the rail or next to the ledge, and I feel like that helps keep my momentum going forward. The more I go at it from an angle, I feel like I'm slamming into the ledge and I have to do more effort to turn the bike, therefore causing me to possibly miss my back peg or to not really have like my front peg in the position that it needs to be in to kind of stick on the ledge. You dial it in to the point where you feel confident in it. You take it step by step. Even till this day, like when it comes to me grinding down a rail, every time for me it's scary. Like I can't make it up. Like I think it would be kind of, for me, I would feel kind of weird saying that every time I double peg a rail, it's just like nothing to me. But like I literally think about it. Every single time I go to double peg a rail, I still get butterflies. Even if you're focused, you still mess up. So it's just like, just building the confidence and going back to the basics, like just warming up in your head, like where it's like, if I'm gonna go double peg down a rail and I'm used to doing double pegs and grinding or whatever it may be, I still have to break it down in my head to remind myself that I have the control, that I've done all the work to develop the skill to be able to do this on whatever obstacles in front of me. The biggest key that plays a real big role in all of this is doing the basics, which you go back to the bunny hop, then you get the confidence in like your bunny hop is right, to go into grinding, and while you're on the pegs and pulling off, that's a part of bunny hopping or a part of like having bike control. So you do all those steps in one to make that grind work. So hopping into it, getting familiar with how it feels over and over and over, and not really setting the expectations high, but appreciating the process. I mean, it's like you're falling off the front peg, front tire, back tire, it really doesn't matter, but it's part of the process. So eventually you learn how to pick up and pull off to the side, which you just nudge it off, or you roll off the end. Double pegs, I feel, is maybe the hardest to pull off of because like it's an unnatural feeling. A double peg is so unnatural because you're only on the pegs. So when it comes to pulling off of it, most of the time, and especially when you're learning, you're just gonna fall off. It's gonna be front tire first or front peg off first, then you fall off the back peg, which is very good. Don't not count that as like you doing a double peg, because it is, because like you've done the trick and it's a process. So the more and more you do it, then you start to figure out certain things, and like you realize how wax works in your favor when it comes to pulling off. And sometimes wax can make you slip off and fall off in so many different ways. But as you perfect like being on the ledge and getting comfortable with that, then you feel normal being on the pegs. So when it comes to pulling off, you realize you have to just nudge off, and if there is an end to it, you just ride off the end. Exiting a feeble grind could be tricky, but like I said, with the double peg, it's a part of the process. Whether you come off front tire off first, whether your front peg bunk the ledge coming off, take the sloppiness of it and move on from there, because if you don't, then your expectation of learning the trick is going to be 10 times harder because you're not appreciating the process of it. We always talked about fun and everything, but when it comes to progression, sometimes it can get frustrating, but you really do have to break it down, and that next step and that next level is the thrill that you're seeking when it comes to progression. That's when you find your fun. And then again, it's like sometimes it'll feel like you're just doing the same thing over and over and nothing's changing, but that's a part of the process. Like as many tries as you're trying it, that shows effort. So the next time you approach this trick, you approach it from a standpoint of less tries, but more effort in your thought and how you do it. But it's like, don't focus so much on like if it's gonna be clean or not. Don't focus on how it's gonna look. Always be psyched on the small stuff. Like if you barely made it off and you got out of it, be stoked on that. And that's gonna keep you like driven to like, I guess, learn more about it and get better at it. You don't learn to have bike control if you're not spending time on your bike. So the more and more you're riding and the more and more you're trying these different tricks, and it's okay to try different ones at the same time, but if you want to focus and dial something in, whether it's a Smith, a hanger, double peg, you literally break it down step by step. Doesn't matter how good you are at it, over and over again. That kind of help contribute to the long run of you trying on bigger things, more technical things, harder things, whatever it may be for you. You find what's a good point for you and what you're comfortable with, then you adjust around that. Most of the time when it comes to learning these type of tricks is not that you don't know how to do it, it's more so you're trying to learn the steps and finding out what worked for you the most. Because like, to me, it really doesn't matter what side you grind on, whether people call it goofy footed or whatever it may be. It's like, it really doesn't matter. It's all regular if it's comfortable to you. So however you approach it, still the same concept. If you found this how-to to be beneficial to you, feel free to comment to give us your input on things that I may have forgot about or things that may have helped you. If you have questions, comment it, message me on my Instagram, whatever it may be, any ideas, or if you need any more input on how to do these tricks or any more inspiration, feel free to hit me up and I'll do my best to get back to you. Shout out to ODI Grips, shout out to Ride BMX for continue doing these how-tos.